we're going to cover some material, a collection of material concerning the windmill, which is a term I learned in the Philippines about circular stick movements. This is a classic drill practiced by many people throughout many different systems. That's why I think it's important to get. As you travel, you will come upon a variety of sort of small system, quirky, interactive drills. And you look at them and marvel at them and think they're, oh, do I need to learn that? But really, it's very small and unique. And if you look at big systems to small systems, many of them have their own favorite drill. In the Ernesto Presas system, they would do tappy-tappy. His brother Ernesto would do another style drill. But they're all fundamentally the same in many regards. Once you get the generic basis of it, you can pick it apart and see how they're made up. And so I don't like to do those small drills because of the isolation that they exist in. I would rather do the big drills that many of the Filipino systems do. And so this is the windmill drill, and we are going to do it from a variety of ways and do some inserts. Remember, the inserts are the important part. You learn the pattern to break the pattern. We're just going to have some fun with it. It is a skill developing drill. Not a lot of combat scenarios. We just want to give you some material to work on to improve your coordination and skill. It's also very good classroom material to teach, and it's well received by practitioners. This material comes from things I've learned probably since 1986. Things taught to me in person with various grandmasters, or I've learned them in a seminar, or as I've traveled, I've had other instructors in other Filipino systems show them to me. Even other students of other systems show them to me. And they're bits and pieces of a big picture of this windmill, high, medium, and low. And that's what I put together for you here. It's a collection of these different systems and their ways to do this. We always say that the arm delivers an attack 4 ways. Whether it has a stick in it, a knife in it, even a kick does the same. And the deliveries are the committed power lunge that comes and stays and stays and stays. The hit and retract that goes out and comes back. These get you in a hooking motion or a thrusting motion. Those are the 4 big ways that an arm attacks you. And a comprehensive drill worries about all those 4, because you can get in the trap of only thinking of one, and thinking that one way will solve all your problems, and they really won't. If you have a stick, a committed attack would be a complete slash through, or a thrust that goes and goes and goes. If you have a hit and retract with a stick, it is going to be what many systems, not all, but many call a wood-tick, a hit and retract. That could be this way with a hook, or this way. And you have the hooking attacks are ones that are delivered from a hook, and a thrust comes straight at you. The pommel, the shaft, or the tip. And so these 4 methods, you must really familiarize yourself with. We try to stick them inside the drills as much as possible. For the sake of the windmill, we need to cover small windmills that are in our hand, and these circular strikes with a stick, which are indeed, a category of a small style windmill. You'll hear the word twirling, which translates in different systems to the word twirling. I don't like the word twirling because it makes you think of a high school cheerleader. And on that subject of cheerleading, I see many experienced people who should know better twirl their stick with an open hand like this. And this is a big mistake, because this is supposed to be a tool inside of a fight. If the person accidentally hits your stick while you're fighting, it'll fly out of your hand. The purpose of the double of the swing, too, is to hit once, hit twice. And hit once, hit twice. And so if you're like this, making the second impact, the stick can go flying right out of your hand. So it's important then to mention this. You will never make a perfect line, open-handed swing if you have what you're supposed to have, your pinky at the very least involved in this grip. If you use that pinky rule, you will probably always maintain some sort of a grip when you're trying to do this double, triple, quadruple, spin, hit, whatever. And so just remember, as you do this, you can make the stick fairly flat. It's all in the elbow. But you'll never make a perfect flat line. It will always be something of a cone. And just accept that. You might find a rare double-jointed person or something at the wrist and elbow that is able to make a flat, but they're not looking for flat. Please do not swing your stick with your hand empty. You look like a rookie. Keep that hand and the pinky involved in the swing. And so these swings are, I see, typically used for warm-ups in classes. People will swing once down, they'll swing twice down, left and right side. If you have double sticks, you can do both sides. You can swing down, swing back up, swing down, swing up. You can do doubles down, doubles up. And these are just classic Filipino warm-ups to get your arm ready for the rest of the class. But they also have a combative aspect to them because it is the double hit. If we strike, for example, at that 12 o'clock, it's a hit and a hit. My pinky is still on the stick for an impact. You might say hit and hit, or hit and hit, you see. If you do the high school twirly thing, maybe you'll hit the first time when you start to twirl, the stick will come right out of your hand because you haven't grabbed it sufficiently. People who do this don't realize what we're trying to do is fight with these things, and you can't have this grip, only this grip between your thumb and the top of your hand, because your stick will go flying inside combat. Another very old school way to measure the proper length of your stick, other than some scholastic version of, oh, it must be 28 inches, or an hour system, every stick is 26. Can you imagine some 7-foot guy with a 26-inch stick? Looks like he's holding a pencil. He should have a stick appropriate for his body size. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll measure the stick out to this way, usually to a middle knuckle of a middle finger or something. That's one way. And the other way is to make sure that at an extended arm, you can swing the stick without hitting yourself. And that's a good police baton method. It's kind of important to know. In the tactical courses, our SDMS course, we tell you that your expandable baton needs to be mission-oriented, or your straight stick. What are you doing that day? Riot, control, regular patrol, detective with a small closed expendable baton in your jacket. Whatever you're doing is mission-oriented. But in the Filipino system, one of the rules of thumb is that you need to be able to swing the stick in a small circle without hitting yourself in the head. Smart idea. So on the combat clock, you have a 12 o'clock downward, you have a 3 o'clock that goes across, you have a 6 o'clock that comes up, and a 9 o'clock that comes back. And you should, in your practice, be able to do these with both hands. And the equation is, you know, with double sticks, the left-handed work builds the double stick skill, and the double stick work builds the weak side skills. So don't ignore this hand. Do everything that you do with the right hand, left hand. As Ernesto Presas would say, you must learn both left and right. And that's an important idea. So you have a small circle from 12 o'clock that spins down. A small circle, or some call the doblete, from 3 o'clock. From 6 o'clock, a small spinning circle that comes up, and from 9 o'clock, a small circle here. And we'll just switch hands. You have a 12, you have a 3, you have a 6, and you have a 9 o'clock. Just as an example, if you have two sticks, here is our classic diamond pattern done universally. You know, if you're going to use the small circle, you have a circle there and a circle there and a circle there and a circle there. So you see, you should be able to do every double stick pattern with the concept of the small circle, and it just accelerates your ability to double hit the enemy. So when we get these small circles, we have the idea that you circle out, and can you circle inward? So you see that's outside my body, that's inside the body. Outside slow, inside slow. You see the whipping action of the elbow to make this happen. And these are the questions that all Filipino people need to be asking. Can I do it up? Can I do it down? Can I do it inside? Can I do it outside? Can I do this with the shaft? Can I do this with the tip? Can I do this with the handle? This is foundational concepts that create a better understanding and a better evaluation of all Filipino martial arts systems. So, it's just the science of it. Here is a shield, a V shield, the doblete V shield, shaped like a V, which, you know, many Filipino systems in terms of footwork and other descriptions love that the out V, the in V. But here we have a small circle shield that people whip themselves into. Here's outside, here's inside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside. Now, you can do this in a fighting stance to keep someone away. You wouldn't just do this for 1 minute. You would do a multitude of things, but inside that thing, you would have the inside, outside motion. And it is a shield, you see, and a small circle. And it's one of the windmills, kind of the important aspects of the windmill, inside, outside, inside, outside. Notice how the wrist and elbow work. I'm not worried about it being too flat because I'm fighting inside, outside, right, and left. It's a good fighting strategy to have. So you see on the combat clock we have small circles, but we also have big circles, and I just want to discuss this too as part of the windmill because it fits. And if we have the 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock or downward, you have, this is the small circle. It's all pretty much done at the wrist. The big circle, as I was taught, and it reiterated from several different systems, is sort of like a racetrack. There's a straightaway, the turn, the straightaway, and the turn. And you see you have the doblada, many people call it, of this big circle here that reaches out and hits twice. Reaches out and hits twice. I'm touching here. You don't have to touch here, but that's a lot of systems will do that. You don't have to, but that's just what's in my particular muscle memory. So there you have a big 12 o'clock version of a big circle, as opposed to, if you could imagine doing this. Well, that's just not very combative. We need the racetrack approach. Then we have from the 3 o'clock side is a big, anything from the right going to the left, is a big circle. In the Philippines, in the Negros Island, I learned this as the peripheral, as they called it, the peripheral. And then there are other systems that will tell you, no, you mustn't do it that big. It's supposed to be small. Many of you have heard of the umbrella. And they would be very specific about how small the circle would be. And I'm not. I want you to do both. I think there's this I nicknamed the room clearer. This gets everybody out of the way, and it has its value for a strike. And also you'll notice that there are many double stick drills that have this big swinging motion in it. But they're big windmills. So you have a 3 o'clock big swing. You have a 6 o'clock, which is going to, you know, come up and circle around, much like that big whip around, just like going the other direction of the racetrack, as opposed to doing this, you know. Not very combative. You have the straightaway, the turn, the straightaway, the turn, and so forth. And so you have the 6 o'clock. It may be worth mentioning the wrist turn right there. You see that wrist turn? As it comes in, it has to turn, and you see the action. Then, of course, the 9 o'clock turn just comes from here and is big and around. Big circle from the 9 o'clock side, and a bit of an umbrella look, small. Notice how the stick operates when you do it small to big. So you should do right and left-handed, but you have, you know, the big circle at 12, the big circle at 3 o'clock, the big circle at 6 o'clock, and the big circle at 9 o'clock. And these are all big windmills. Now, let's do that big shield, the V shield. The previous one was the small circle, doblete. This is the big circle, doblada, where you're making much bigger circles outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, and inside. You see the different applications. Some people, when they duel, they circle the opponent and they do these circles outside and inside, or maybe a big one trying to set the motion up, and they keep their stick moving to disguise their attack. But this is the big shield, the big circle, and this is the small shield full of smaller circles. Big, inside, outside, inside, outside, to small, inside, outside, inside, outside. And there you have the circular V-shaped shield. But I want to show you a variety of applications that I've learned through the years that you can put in the windmill and that different people have shown me. And I want you to invent them too. That we didn't get where we're at today as the human race by stopping where the last guy stopped in front of us. Keep thinking, keep moving, keep improving. This is a handle strike, a downward handle strike, and a very common reactive strike. In the Philippines, they might call it punyo, and some systems call this punyo vertical, which is, a punyo vertical. But and other systems call it the windmill. So as this comes down, I'd like to turn my body sideways, and I'd like to cup this part here and pass it in front of me. Then I do the same, and he does the same to me. And what you have right here is the very beginning foundation of the topside windmill that you can work off of. We'll just kind of circle this slightly, and you can see the motion. Now, when you're teaching this in classes, what many students new to this will do is convert this to like a forward punch. They don't get it. They don't get it. This is not even something. And maybe it's a punch with a stick in the hand. The drill is hitting downward with the handle or the punyo. And so go by and correct them because they're not doing the thing. They're doing something else. And it might knock somebody else out, but it's just not the thing that we're working on. So we learned that overhead attacks, we do this with a knife, you can do this with double sticks as we'll show you. We learned that the attacker comes from like 12 o'clock, but he can also, certainly with a knife, come from 1 o'clock or my 11 o'clock. So there's a bit of an angle here that's not straight down. So let's just start this and say, if I'm the ringleader of the group, I will then give Rawhide here this motion that tends to come this way. He's got to scoop it out. And then he gives it to me, and I'm going to dodge with my body. And so you've got a different topside angle. Then I can come back to here, and then possibly inch over here, which doesn't really require too much of a change. But it does prepare the person for the possibility of these different angles. You're just intercepting. And remember, we're passing, not stopping. This drill stops with passing. We have a 12 o'clock attack, we've got a 2 o'clock attack, and we've got a 1 o'clock attack that gives your training partner a whole bunch of different problems to deal with from the top side. You know that a knife 8 in the clutches up, this is how we kick off the clutches. I catch, he catches, and we begin our attacks. And so I don't want to do that now because if you want to see in the clutches of high line, you can just look at knife 8. All I want to show you is that you can do this with knives. And the entire high, low, and the high, medium, the low pattern is difficult with a knife, and you'll see why. So let's look at this here. The double stick version is, watch slowly, as this is coming down, he hooks me and pulls me down. As this is coming down, I hook and pull down, and you can learn with a double stick. Keep in mind, the fight's not going to unfold like this. But all this movement, this catch, is a tiny prepositional phrase inside an ad-lib sentence that you'll be doing. And this may happen, you may have this opportunity, and you've cut this roadmap in your brain. Remember, the nerves that fire together wire together, and you'll pick up this prepositional phrase because you've practiced it inside a skill drill. If you don't do skill drills, you don't turn your little old country dirt road into a superhighway through repetition. That's why God made skill drills. Don't make fun of them, just keep on doing them. And there you see a double stick application. You can do this in Spadiadaga if I had a knife in a reverse grip, but you can also do the saber grip with it too. We have hooks and we have thrusts. And remember that the thrusting windmill is going to be inside this here too. What I will do next, as this comes down, rather than give him this bit of stimulus coming down, as I get pushed down, this comes up to a stabbing or thrusting harpoon. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, about 2 o'clock. Sometimes people insert the thumb to get more steerage, and then as soon as possible they get rid of the thumb, because we all know getting hit with a stick right here is horrible. So we don't want that to happen. But you will see some of the biggest grandmasters, when they do a sudden thrust, they bridge out that thumb to get a little bit of steerage, and then the thumb goes away as soon as possible. So here we have, by the way, these are passing methods. We are passing his punyo attack. And now I go to the thrust, and he passes inward, just simply passes inward, no tricks yet, the thrusting attack. And so you see the windmill is now a bit horizontal. And it's the tip of the stick. Remember, can I do this with the shaft? Can I do this with the handle? Can I do this with the tip? And then I will then come around and return to the basic pattern again. And so we're moving around, and then suddenly this comes in. We're passing in. This is important now because later we'll be passing out. And so we have to have this motion going. Now let's continue on the high line. We're going to stop these with instinctive blocks. So the person with the stick coming down has little option but to come backward again. So let's look at this again. We start with a passing motion, and then as the leader of the workout team here, he's going to wait for me to change. And then of course you can both change for surprise good training. Is I put a forearm up. He retracts his stick back and he puts a forearm up. And then this is the high line drill using the forearm block. And it's just a stopping point that you realize you're stopped. Then from here, anytime, I could whip that down into the pass. We can convert over into the block. And it's just a way to get someone acclimated inside the fight. So here we are back to the format, and we've already done this forearm stop. If I feel continual pressure on here, I don't feel the with tick or the hit and retract, I'm going to take this and pass it with like a forearm or elbow rollover. This comes back and comes down. And then he will do the same thing to me as you roll this down. You can do this with knives, but remember the two ways we talk about in all our other DVDs about passing. There is force to force, surrender to the force. Force to force, surrender to the force. And then there is what the basic drill begins with, and that's blending with the force. Intercepting the force and, blending with it. And that takes a little bit more skill. Any knucklehead can block. But now we are doing a passing motion. If you are doing the stab, this is just a pass. But it's a pass in. Huh? We're passing in. So you see on the high line, we've learned to pass with the hand, pass with the forearm. And there's two passes on the thrust. And this comes from many, many systems, this thrust. And many organized lists of possibilities that you can do. I'm just covering the first couple of them. Because you could do a whole series, one whole DVD on the set that involves this. But as this is coming in, I've passed this to the inside. As this comes in, I can pass it to the outside with a miniature diamond, see? However, what you have to watch out for, the skilled guy is going to try to take advantage of that. I'll just hold that stick in here down there. He can, as that comes out, he can come in and catch me like this. So the actual pass like this, it involves a bit of a wing of protection that you should do. Let me just show this solo for a second. So here's the thrust and the pass. The thrust and the pass. What I would like for you to do is to thrust and get that action in there. Thrust, if you're going to do this, he can get a stick knocked out, circled, and come in. Get a stick knocked out, circle, and catch your head. So as you circle, you put this little wing into it that protects your head, and the worst maybe you'll get is a crack in the elbow rather than get your head knocked off. So that's what that looks like. It comes in, you pass in. Comes in, you pass his in. In, you pass his in. In, you pass his out. In, you pass his out. In, you pass his out. He might not know this trick of getting circled and coming and get you, but he might. It's a sunkiti totsara, some systems call it, and it can get you. So pass in, pass out, pass out. Pass to the outside, pass to the outside, pass to the outside, pass to the outside. Ever worried about the potential hook that may come in? Inside the set, you sometimes cross over. And so you can do this, you see. This is my left hand doing the pass. The right hand can pass. You see the capture? And then you just continue the passing pattern. And I just want to tell you here, as good a time as any, it's in the outline. There are two roads to Filipino Hubad. Remember, Hubad is the proper terminology. Hubad in Tagalog means naked above the waist. But one of the roads to Hubad starts with the windmill drill in several family systems. And so you are coming along here, and then you block. Then you pass and you pin. And that's how they start doing it. Another road is to do almost a trapping hands type of progression, and that's how other people do it. And that's why other systems are not stuck on the high right corner. They do high right, high left, low right, low left. Whereas if you tend to come from this origin, you get fixated on the high right attack. You have to be in this business to even care about what I'm telling you, but if you're watching this film, you probably do. But this would be baby step one of the Hubad drill. Block, pass, and pin. But we're not going to step off into that because that's not the subject of the windmill. The windmill exists all by itself. So we have same side pass, same side pass, same side pass, other side pass. And I'm using this little hook between the handle and the forearm to make the pass. And you can same side pass, crossover block. And this opens up a whole other area of stuff that you can do. So you have, just step back a little bit, let me just do this simulated here. You have same side pass, same side pass, same side pass, other side passes. The other side gets pushed down, it scoops up, look at the body dynamic getting out of the way, it hooks in this V shape here and pulls down. You have same side pass, block, 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 pass, 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 forearm block in a crossover. Same side block, other side block. And you can use these as half-beat inserts inside the upper side of the windmill. That's a good working knowledge of the topside windmill. Let's look at some tricks, some inserts that we can do that involve grappling or possibly even takedowns. Famous classic one. We have the windmill here. On this, as this goes down, this palm goes up. You see the palm up. It shoots up to the bend of the arm. You could do an insert strike to the head, and you get the rear armbar hammerlock. On the elbow, not the shoulder. The handle reaches around and gets the throat. And then you can do whatever you want from here. He has a stick. I've got it in a position where he can't pass it off. But sometimes smart guys will try to hand that stick off to there you go. See the other hand. And now you've got to do something very dramatic to finish that problem. So I just want you to be aware of this. And you know, that pass-off is a classic pass-off, you know. It's like the nunchucks. And Ernesto Presas used to practice this as a warm-up. And that's just what Rawhide just did here, is essentially a reach to get the... We are passing down, passing down, passing down, passing down. I come here, hits, this shifts to here, catches the elbow, comes around. Look, you notice I'm dealing with that stick. You may wind up sometimes stripping that stick out. I don't know. There it goes. You're up, and I'll show you one more trick to this. He's back. If you want to convert this into a more secure position or choke, I will loop the head and put this stick here. And then I am going to drive the stick backward so he has pressure on his windpipe, tighten the V, and I've got a choke. Right. There you go. It's a good position for it. As you can see, I've got both carotids and the windpipe, and I just bend my back backward, and you've secured that as a potential choke or as a neck restraint to control someone, walk them away. Just a quick notion. Do the same thing if he has a knife and I have a knife, or we're in this mixed motion here. This is a classic pickup for this. I step aside, zoning away from that shot. This comes in and up, creating the window for me to catch this. The knife, this is symbolic of a knife that isn't double-edged. But at any rate, you have the capture right here, and boy, do I have to worry about that switch off of that stick. See, it's right there. So immediately I've got to take some kind of action against the stick. If he is, you know, this side, he's coming down again, and I just want to show you that, we'll cycle. I just want to show you that you can come in here and catch this and do the same thing with the reverse grip. You do it with a saber grip, but the reverse grip, you know, is a little bit superior for grappling purposes. And a lot of people love this, and you know, my opinion is be completely educated in the saber, be completely educated in the reverse grip, and then you make an educated guess. Don't let some knucklehead tell you, always carry a knife like this. Because there are times when this is a deficit, and then this is a better one, and vice versa. No perfect knife grip, only that grip perfect for the situation. As Remy would say, can you do on the other side? And so down here, he's let me go. See, right about here I have the free hand. I'm going to do, this is probably in the succession up here. I am going to begin to worry about that, but I shoot this in to the stick side, and I have this grab. It's the rear armbar hammerlock on the other side. He still has a stick, so I'm going to have to worry about that. And you know, just go ahead and figure out a way that you would try to hit me with that stick. See, I would have to tie him up. And let's look at this from this side here. As this comes in, I'd have to tie that stick up. I can get a snake disarm, take it out. Watch this little catch right here. It's pretty nasty. I'm going to see if I can't do this without hurting him, because it's a stretch. I can pull this up. Look at, I will even work this as a lever here to feed this around and get this choke from here. So I have a rear armbar hammerlock and a choke from here. This relegates the carotid. I'm working on the carotid on this side and I have the windpipe. We're in the motion. Down here, you see the stop. This shoots to here. If it looks like I have it, if it looks like I have the power to get the bend, look at this manipulation that I've got here. I come over. Now, watch the strike. I pull it in, try to snake it out. Here is the finish I'd like to show you. Pull this up, manipulate this if I have to around, and I get this bad choke and armbar combination. You can dump him down to the side, you can do quite a bit of things with that. So there is an armbar for you, empty hand side, stick side, and subsequent chokes. Wow. So, you have from this a great time to work on the snake disarm. And so I am going to do that forearm block, and I still feel pressure. Here are the three elements, folks. We don't want to go over this over and over. My forearm goes up, my elbow goes up, I hide the thumb. This is why many Filipino systems do not have a punyo exposed. For this and this reason only. They fear the snake disarm. But for every one reason not to have a punyo, there's 8 or 9 reasons to have some punyo exposed. For the catching and striking and hooking and grappling. But with this bow, I do not want to place my palm on his forearm. It creates drag. I am going to circle the arm in a snaking motion like this. This is important because what do I see with complying partners in seminars and classes? What happens is the guy puts his hand on the partner's forearm and does this, just twists to the side. He reflexively, willingly tosses the knife or the stick up to the side. And just because that's what's supposed to happen. But in reality, the bad guy probably wouldn't let go of the stick or the knife. And so this, and then I see people inching their hand around, trying. Never put, this is friction and stops the snake, the circle. Just let it go, man. Never touch the palm on the forearm, and it creates a much better circle and a quicker snake disarm. As I like to say, I'm fond of saying, I've worked cases personally where crack cocaine dealers have done snake disarms against police officers' nightsticks and flashlights. Totally untrained crack cocaine dealers can do the snake disarm. I think you can do it too if you'll just follow these simple rules. We have the stop, hide the thumb, because you don't want the thumb drag. You want to raise the forearm till there's contact. You want to raise that elbow, and that concoction is what makes the snake. Here's a couple of tricks now off of the thrusting motion. I thrust, he thrusts, I thrust, he thrusts. See, I'm passing it in, or I can pass it out. If I pass it out, I have the makings of the snake disarm. Look at this again from this side over here. This is good. Coming in. See, here's the pass in, the pass in, the pass in, the pass in, the pass out, and the snake. Just keep snaking, and you can get the snake disarm from that thrusting stick. I convert to the thrust, the thrust, the thrust. I get a big V. I get my hand in a big V, and I smash forward and hit him. We'll turn this way here. I smash forward and hit him. I take the tip of this stick and catch under the arm. Not up here on the shoulder, down on the elbow as much as possible. I can hit, I can knee, hook, and I have a takedown. Very simple. We're here. I catch the stick. Boom! I hit him. Stun him again. Take the tip of the stick up for cover. I feed this behind the arm. People will say to me, well, Hock, what if while you're doing this he lets go of the stick? Well, now I have two sticks to fight with. That's terrific. If he lets go of the stick back here, it doesn't matter. I have the bent window, the bent arm. I can knee, I can hit him to bend over. You catch, and then as high up on the elbow as possible, you have this pull. So there is a takedown that you can snare out of this. We're coming along here. I catch the stick. I stun. Ernesto Presas would say, if you can go to the bottom, can you go to the top? I take the tip of the stick and feed it over the top to get the reverse bent armbar right here. This time the pressure was too much, he let go of the stick. I have to just turn in, take this from 3 o'clock to 2 o'clock to 1 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and it's a takedown. And possibly some damage in the guy's arm. So we have here, 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 here. The catch and the hit go with both of them. You have the top side application and the bottom side application of doing some inserts by catching the stick. From the thrusting stick at 2 o'clock, what if he does, I grab the stick, what if he does this common application and catches the stick from here? We can go on and on. He can do a releasing technique and I can lose the stick. As you can see, this could go on and on. But here is a quick fix for this protective capture here. I hook up and stun. I swim up and blast out. I've noticed that most times the strong hand side winds up with the stick, and the weaker side, non-original grip, is the one that lets go. So I've swum through and blasted through. This can come to here. This punyo can go into the clavicle. This shaft can go on the neck. Not here because you have no push, but up in here. You can even use the tip, but it's a long way around the block, and he might slap that to the side. And so it's easily for him to slap. So, you know, this is good, and this is good. I take a step, And we have the rear takedown. A lot of times they fall, and if you're stick hungry enough, you'll get the stick on the way down. A quick look at the medium windmill, the medium height windmill. You know, we hear, heaven, standard, earth. I've heard heaven, earth, hell. This is the earth part, or the standard part. And what this usually is, you can do this with a stick, double stick, is I come into here, and now I'm going to thrust this punyo forward, and he gets it with a V catch, a V, because if he doesn't do that, I'm going to slip under it. Especially if I have a knife, it's very critical that he catches that. He rotates this up, and you see the chainsaw, or what systems call, Punyo Horizontal, or Punyo Horizontal. And we are doing this. And then I pull this back out, and we can go to the top side, and then he now observes that I pull this down. When I come to here, he knows we've started the horizontal drill, or the centerline chainsaw drill with the stick. We'll be doing some stuff here in a second with this, but one of the tricks, some of the really old-timers know Sonny Hubad. And one of the things in the 70s, the 80s that he was famous for was he would get this stick in his armpit and develop tension and spring it out. And so let me just borrow this stick for a second. If he would be doing a drill, this would be one of them, see? And he would create tension and shoot that stick out. He's an old grandmaster. He's dead now. You can find some information about him, but he's just one of the old greats. He's just been around forever. Not too many people know about him. It's too bad. But old timers know who it was, and many of us associate this capture here with the idea of that power shot to here or to here that Sonny used to do and be somewhat famous for. So there we have a stick version. So here we are, and what I'm going to convert over to is that chainsaw movement. Look at the giant C-clamp that doesn't catch yet, but it can as an insert that's protecting me against this. Now, years ago in the 1980s, I went to an Inosano seminar, and Dan said that when you do this, that this knife should be parallel to your chest, come up and spring out, and it gets pushed down, and then when it comes to here, it should come up like this, out and over, which I thought was maybe that was a little anal retentive. I didn't say, why should I worry about that? I didn't get it. And then one day we're blasting through this stuff, and my partner thrust forward, and he stabbed into my knife. And I said, well, that's why Dan said that. But it took a little bit of experience for me to realize that this is a very Filipino way to do this, as you see the chainsaw progress out. And so that's a step that's kind of important. And so here are a couple of things that you can do from here is you can do this. Now slowly, that is, as this is coming to here, I have control of it, I let go, I do a push-pull, step in, and try to get some sort of a cut. And then you'll see many practitioners try to get an arm bar with the use of the knife from here. I don't want to go that far, but I'm just showing you what that is. And so that is a real quick snap. You see this a lot in different aspects of Filipino martial arts. Slowly, once again, you're here. This, you don't drive your hand into your own knife. You push, pull, and get something on the way out, and then you have a series of targets from there. That's one of the things that you can do from the centerline chainsaw with a reverse grip. If you feel the grab, I've got him low, he's got me high. I can raise my elbow, roll my elbow over, drop my elbow down, and I have an releasing technique. And look at what I'm worried about here. So it is, I don't want to charge in to let this get me. Elbow up, elbow over, elbow down, and cut. And we are putting him in the SV or center lock when he grabs. We raise up and turn this over. That is the SV or center lock, and that's why the descending elbow strike is so successful he can't resist it, even though he might be quite strong. So I'm caught, elbow up, elbow over, elbow down, and it's a basic universal releasing technique. Something you can do, we show this in the knife course, so that you have experienced this motion. You have these particular two. What if we're in saber grips? The chainsaw looks like this, you know. Chainsaw looks, you can do the windmill with a saber grip. This can be the same things you can do. All I've done is as this comes down, I whack into here and push, cut, and I have the rear armbar hammerlock with a saber grip. So you can convert over to, see that's coming, you're pushing that down and out of the way and getting your body out of the way. You can convert that to that, come back to here, and you see what we have. Trying to hit, catch and control that and get it out of the way of your body. Saber grip, centerline chainsaw motion. While we're on the middle height line, here is a hooking attack, and we'll do it real slow, trying to get my stomach out of the way, intercept and pass this over. Do you recognize the windmill only flat? The windmill only flat. And so the guy's coming in to get you, and you're taking advantage of this. This is a saber grip drill, by the way. If we do this reverse grip, he's coming in, and this is what it looks like. See, and after a while, you start really trying to gut your partner, and you get the realistic motion, the hollowing out of the belly, and you pick up that. Many, many possible things to do from here, especially when you start catching and grabbing, which we show many grabbing drills in our seminars and DVDs. Hook, stomach hook, stomach hook, stomach hook. That works down to a catch, and then you have any potential follow-ups that you want to do. A stab, if you want to do grappling, you do that rear armbar hammerlock like we've done earlier. Many things to do from the vertical, windmill vertical. So what we have here is the reverse windmill coming up. It is that hooking tip stab that comes up. And let me show it to you how it looks. This is coming up to catch him in the chin, the stomach, or whatever. And what the other person is lucky enough to do is to put the forearm on the shaft and pass it out of the way. So individually, you're doing a pattern that looks like this. This was the high windmill. Here's the center line windmill. With a stick, you have and then the upwind, the reverse. I find not many people know this one. So here we intersect and clear the way, intersect and clear the way, and then you have the reverse or upward windmill. Couple of things to do from here. Obviously, we'll just do a few for you to give you some ideas. Is as this is coming in, you grab the stick. Like that. Once you've grabbed the stick, one thing to do is the vine disarm. This goes on the outside. Fan strikes the hand, the wrist, and lays across the top. And you see the configuration here. The classic definition of the universal Filipino vine is when the sticks wrap together and then you have the takedown. Anytime that the sticks wrap together, they often call that category a vine disarm. We would call it a strip and keep because you're stripping the stick out and keeping it. So from this position here, I catch the stick, hit it, get this, and now I have two sticks to fight with. Let's do it from this side here. The stick comes up, comes up, comes up, comes up, comes up, and we grab. I go to the outside, fan strike, create this little V here, and you take out the stick. As you grab the stick, of course, you can just beat the snot out. I'm just showing you cool, inserts and disarms, but there's nothing come forward. There's nothing that prevents me from pulling that stick out of the way. But see, if he catches me, then we are in the clutches of, which we cover a lot in different areas. I suggest right away, you duck your head so you don't hit your head and start beating, using the weapon immediately and getting out of that jam. So we have a vine disarm. That's a vine disarm. Take the stick. I'm coming up. You have a strip and send disarm by me coming all the way in and just inserting this outward. Comes up, comes up, comes up. I go over into my armpit. Look at here's the end of his stick here. My hand can be free, but I've seen some Filipinos shove on this stick to assist it. Body dynamic, take out the stick, then you have the tukain to fight with. So we have up and up, up and up, up, over, and shove across as a potential for you to do in this situation. You've seen on the top end that we've converted from hooks to thrusts. Now, on the bottom end, there are thrusts also. In fact, from the medium version to down low, I don't differentiate thrusts. They're just thrusts. So you see, on the low end, he could thrust the stick. I'm going to use my hand in the C-clamp and stop it, and we go back and forth, you see. I don't want to get stabbed in the stomach. He doesn't want to get stabbed in the stomach. So you see what we have going on here is this low line deal. At any given moment, see, I could go back to the top again, and he could pass it down. I could go right to here. He will do this, you see. And then I can come here and give him this. He swings it up, swings it up, swings it up, swings it up. I could just give him some straight line stabs. And you have this full exposure. Now, a couple of inserts from the low line. Catch. The stick hits the hand. I take my left hand, yank back as hard as I can, and push down with the right hand. And then I have a strip and send disarm you have to take down if you need it. Whatever follow-up that you want to use. But you see how that worked. I caught this. This bangs down, this pulls back as hard as it can, and this ejects out, and then you have any multitude of things that you want to do that would take somebody down. That's when I grabbed the hand. What if I grabbed the stick? Just as a little complete package, you have turning the stick inward, have the vine disarm. So just look at that again. We're here, 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 here. I grab the stick, I turn it inward, hit the forearm. I have that same vine disarm that we did earlier. And I have grabbing the stick, turning it outward. Look at the SV or center lock position that he is in. I put the stick here and I just shove down and I get the stick. So you have a hand disarm, hand grab disarm. You have a stick turn it in disarm, a stick grab turn it out disarm. And for packaging that you can do on the bottom line, here we are with the knife. I would catch, strike the hand with my knife and do that push-pull. And then you have anything that you want to do. In our tactical programs, we X the upper arm, and that may cause a disarm if it didn't happen already. And then perhaps X the throat. We practice, lower, upper, throat as a series. And so just remember that when you have metal knives, through time, they chip out. They get certain metal will chip. And be careful of that, because when you're working out with your friend and you cross his knife, you might neck with your knife, you might get a spur or something, cut his throat open, even with a dull folder. So old knives, take a good look at them once in a while. Take care of them, because you'll cut your friend with a training knife. So here we have this low line. Catch, 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 catch. I'm not going to suggest you do any disarms like this. you would just hit the hand with your knife. It's not as elaborate as the stick. And take that.